Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 1, Episode 17. It is called Home Soil. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. This episode sees the Enterprise go to a planet where they're terraforming, and they're curious about the terraforming project. Because communications have been a little bit late, the Federation's asked them to go in and just check everything's going okay.
Yeah.
I
was pleasantly surprised that the amount of time terraforming takes in Star Trek.
You were worried it was going to be like, that's like a week. You just bang, bam, boom.
Yeah, I think I'm used to seeing that. Right, I'm used to in sci-fi. Just gonna screw it. It'll be done in a month.
Well, presumably they outlawed the Genesis project after Star Trek 3.
Yes, exactly. And they went, well, we'll do it the long way.
Yes.
So pleasantly surprised.
Yes. So they're acting a little bit shady, or at least the leader of the terraforming project's acting a little bit shady.
Yeah.
But Picard insists that they have an away team go down, because he's very nice about it. He's like, hey, you're allowed to, if you want to change the scenery, come on the ship, use our holodeck, get a bit of a break. We're at your disposal. But he's very cagey. He's like, no. And I thought, they keep trying to make Troy look useful, and I felt like in this opening scene, she was just kind of he's
afraid of something.
He's hiding something, Captain. It's like, yeah, we can tell. All right, the way he's talking is clearly hiding something.
I don't need enhanced senses to figure this out.
Oh, but so they go down, and there's 5 minutes of terraforming exposition, which is utterly meaningless and doesn't matter.
Yeah. When I said I was pleasantly surprised, I liked the first 30 seconds where they had the 35-year plan.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, and then that was enough.
That was enough, and then we got 5 minutes of explaining different facets of it. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, it went on a bit.
But then one of the crew gets killed. Their crew, not the Enterprise crew. It's not a red shirt moment. It's a extra for the episode moment, which I guess is still kind of a red shirt, but not. You know what I mean? Not one of the crew's red shirts.
A red shirt, a Jace.
Yes. So part of this cutting laser killed him, and Data's investigating it, and we get a fantastic scene of Data dodging laser beams because he's a super android, right? He's dodging and ducking and diving.
I don't think he says a super android. It's just he's an android.
Oh no, a shitty android couldn't do this. You think Johnny Five's dodging these lasers like this? Not a chance.
Fine.
Not a chance.
Fine.
So, that's okay. And then they beam the crew, the terraforming up, and Data keeps digging, and he finds this strange crystal that might be a life form. It's sort of, glistening with light. And they take that on board, and the episode really just kind of turns into them analysing this crystal, realising that it is alive, that it's trying to access the computers, that it's trying to communicate.
Having a little mini war with it.
Is it dangerous? Is it not dangerous? Then talking to the terraforming crew about what they've been hiding, and basically, because the one key thing we learn in this episode is that for terraforming to be approved by Starfleet and by the Federation, the planet has to be truly lifeless. There has to be no life that you're interfering with. It has to be just a rock.
Seems fair.
But this is life, and they were killing it by doing what they were doing. So ultimately, there's a bit of a standoff with it. But ultimately, they say to the crew, you can come back in 300 years when you're ready to actually interact with us. Right now, you're too primitive and
primitive. Yeah.
So put us back down, and we'll call it a day. And they put them back down. They call it a day. End of episode. I guess the way I was saying that basically shows how I feel, and I don't think it's a bad episode, but I think it's ultimately kind of inconsequential and just a little bit boring.
I agree with that. It's far from the worst. It's fine.
Yes.
It's just a bit dull. It doesn't do anything interesting.
It got to the end, and I felt like it didn't really make any sort of dramatic point. The head terraforming guy is like, oh, my job is to give life to planets and make life thrive, and I was taking it away from something. And I'm like, but we kind of made that point as soon as you brought it up in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We've just spent the episode kind of reiterating that point, and it's fine.
No one really learned anything over the rest of the episode.
No, not really. Because the only time I got amused in any way was Data dodging lasers, which was funny.
Yeah.
And at one point there's one of the terraforming crew's female, and she's kind of distraught, and they're trying to talk to each of them, and Troy says, I tried talking to her, but she wouldn't really open up to me. We could try sending in Riker. So then Riker goes in, because he's a big attractive man, of course,
Yeah.
and it seems to kind of work. She opens up a little bit.
The only other time I chuckled was when it's there's like 5 of them stood around the life form, and it's before it's tried to communicate. It's just humming and flashing a little bit, and they're like, "What is it?" They're like, and then Picard's like, "Step back," and the noise calms down, and they all step back in unison, and then Crush is like, "Step back again," and they all go back in. It's just all of them at the back of the room, and I don't know, the visual of it was very pantomime-esque.
I felt like this one had a lot of like looking at computer readings and like talking about computer readings, but ultimately it's all just kind of fluff, which is fine. But there's just a lot of it in this one.
Do you know what really maybe bothered me the most about this episode?
On
a fundamental level, is the whole thing is, but this is inorganic life. How can this be life?
Data's walking around.
And the Data's right there. Yeah, I'm like, no one thought to mention this.
Oh dear.
Basically, what they're all saying is, we don't believe Data is alive.
Which fundamentally goes against everything they've said at any other point in the show.
Exactly. It baffled me.
Because the crux of the episode, at least in the first opening part, is when the guy gets killed with a laser. It's like, okay, who killed him? It's like, oh, it looks like the laser's been reprogrammed by someone. It turns out to be something. It turns out to be this life form that's done it. But like, ultimately, the conclusion to it was just kind of like, oh, it was them that killed the dude. Oh, I guess we'll leave because it was our fault that we intervened. They
were fighting back, but it was guerrilla tactics essentially.
Yeah, I felt like they never really. Once they realised that it was the crystal life forms that killed them, they never really had like a conversation about whether that was okay or whether that, like, do we just accept that because we were kind of murdering them? There wasn't really much of a consequence to it.
And I don't know. I feel like this was primed to explore with Data and being like, and go down that route, but nothing.
No, he has an action sequence where he's dodging lasers.
It's good. It's a fun sequence.
It's a fun sequence, yeah. But
I mean, there was a good dramatic point to doing this with him. And it just went, eh.
It kind of feels like it's just like surface level. Like if someone had the idea, but no one actually thought to really sit down and do a couple of drafts of the script to really make it like a proper episode. They just kind of
they just went, that'll do.
Yeah, this was kind of just going through the motions of like pretending to be talking about big ideas, but ultimately, having nothing to say. Or, well, I tell you, like, it had one thing to say. It said at the start of the episode, and then the plot just reiterated that point throughout the whole episode. And at the end of the episode, they act like that's a lesson, even though
yes, very good.
Yeah. That group scene, actually, I think was the only scene in the whole episode with Wesley in it.
Was it? You might be right.
I think it was. Which I'm not complaining about. It's fine. I mean...
Yeah. The less, the better. I mean, especially after last time.
Of course, yes. Yes, oh, last time was a tricky bit of business.
Yeah.
Tricky bit of business. I mean, that's pretty much the episode. I feel like we're not even hitting 10 minutes yet. I think we've...
This might be the episode we have the least to say about.
I got to the end of it, and I'm like, I'm worried about this one. I don't think I've got anything I want to say about it.
It's so by the numbers. It exists. It's an episode. It's not bad. It's watchable. But it's pretty boring.
The opening scene with I'm talking to the terraforming dude, and like it's bizarre to say this is one of the most interesting things about the episode, but I kind of like the idea of them showing up and said, "Hey, use the ship and like come on board and like hang out." And like I almost would have rather just have that episode, have this weird downtime episode with these like weirdos coming on the ship and using the holodeck and being like, "Whoa, this is like the future."
Sure.
They've been stuck on this planet for years. Like they've not seen holodecks.
They might have done.
Oh, come on, the captain and Riker are constantly amazed with how great it is. It's clearly a new piece of tech.
I mean, sure.
This isn't like the beaming technology where, like, I mean, if anything, that's what I want in a Star Trek prequel. I want where they first invent beaming, and I want everyone to go, "Oh my god, that was amazing! I beamed."
It's probably in one of them.
Yeah, it's an Enterprise. You think they invented beaming in Enterprise? They might have done.
They may well have done.
We'll see. We'll find out.
I mean, I could be wrong. I've never seen a single second of Enterprise, but I mean, you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, that was the episode. I mean, we've had 10 minutes on the recording.
We did it. We did. We can get another 90 seconds out of seeing what's next.
Oh, good point. Yes. Coming up next time,
This isn't just needlessly trying to get extra time out of the episode. No, not a chance.
To be fair, we've been doing this at the end of every episode for a while.
Yeah.
So.
That was never the intention.
The next one is Coming of Age. Oh god, this is a Wesley episode, isn't it?
I can tell just by the title.
Coming of Age, god damn it. Episode 18, Picard finds himself facing a strenuous test of his loyalty to Starfleet. Interesting. One which other members of the crew are struggling to cope with, whilst Wesley faces an equally challenging entrance exam at Starfleet Academy.
No. That is not equally challenging, and it is definitely not equally interesting.
This has a higher rating though than this episode.
I mean, the Picard side of that sounds like it could be quite good.
It could be. Maybe the title's just misleading and it's actually a pretty good Picard episode.
Could be, yeah. I'd be down for that.
Possible. Picard's also coming of middle age, but coming of age, all the same.
Why not? Everyone's got to get through that midlife crisis.
Indeed, and especially when you're the captain of a starship, you got to be on your toes. You got to be thinking ahead.
Yeah, got to get through that quick.
Yeah. So apologies. This was probably the most boring conversation we've had about any of these next gen episodes, but it's probably the most boring episode of any of them.
Yeah, it really is. There's nothing. I don't know what else to say about it.
If they give us more like, laser dodging data, maybe I'd have some fun, goofy things to talk about. But instead, no.
No.
I tell you what, though, that all this dexterity and how spry he is, I bet that helped out with Tasha back in episode 2.
Oh, I bet it did.
He's the best she's ever had. She doesn't want to admit it because she doesn't want to admit that it happened. But he's the best she's ever had. He was pulling off like gymnast level moves.
Probably. Why not? He wouldn't know any better.
All right, that's been what was this one called? Home Soil. So you can let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. You can like and subscribe, all that stuff. You can get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here, you can head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. We can support us for as little as $1 per month. So go and have a look at that. Get a list of all the shows we do. By all means, check out other things we do, such as the current Star Trek reviews. By the time this goes public, we'll have finished Star Trek Discovery Season 2. All the reviews of that will be up. So if you want our thoughts on those, go have a look-see.
It's worth noting that at that $1, you get the next episode. They're a week early. So if you go and subscribe now, the next episode of this is there, and it might be a more interesting discussion.
That's true. We also started doing classic Twilight Zone reviews under the already cancelled banner, so you can go check out that. And if you want to buy merchandise, should you want a nice t-shirt or something, there's links in the description to both the US and the UK Spreadshirt stores, and you can get something there. But otherwise, that's it. So thank you once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching Star Trek, and to everyone but Connor, live long and prosper.